What is the nature of duality and how does it affect my mind and body?
So I made another diagram and we're going to break it all down. We can learn from the ancient myths and the ancient stories because a lot of them have tons of truth that is in the form of allegory or that is symbolic of something deeper. And one of those stories is the story of Kronos and Rhea. So what was unique about Kronos and Rhea is that they were gods and they were married to each other, right? And Kronos would devour and eat every child that Rhea would have. Pretty messed up and dark if you take it literally. But it's not meant to be taken literally, it's meant to be taken symbolically. Because Kronos represents time. And that weird behavior of his is because everything created in time is also destroyed in time. Everything that begins in time ends in time. And then in order for time to pass, there has to be space that passes so change can happen. And out of time and space, and by the way, Rhea is where we get words like area, and Chronos is where we get words like chronic or chronology, because it means time and space. Out of time and space came Zeus. Out of Kronos and Rhea, they had Zeus. And Zeus represents what? Well, Zeus held the lightning and escaped being eaten by Kronos. So that's because Zeus represents human being, the human. So we are light manifested, human. And because of that, we exist in time and space. So there are parts of us that are bound by time and space. And those are the parts of us that are of the flesh. So our body and our mind. But there is one part of you that is beyond flesh. And that part of you is consciousness, is conscious awareness. This is why we can't create a robot or some kind of technology with this pure conscious awareness and sense of I am, of existence. And that's because the spirit within you is who you are. You are pure consciousness itself. Conscious awareness itself is spirit. That's why when you give your awareness to something, you're giving your power to that thing because that's who you are. You're giving your light, your energy to that. So when you realize this, that means we have to realize that all thought form of identity is through attachment to that thought. So because of that, when we are able to attach, that means we must be able to detach. And now we enter into the world of duality. The body is bound by duality because there is life, there must also be death. Because there is light, there must also be dark. Because there is seen, there must also be unseen, and so on. In order for time and space to hold light, it does so, and it makes this wave. This wave in math is referred to as a sine wave, and this is the original sin. Because purity, or being one with the higher power, being one with God, walking the middle path, there's so many ways to say this, but that's stillness. Out of God came everything, the world, the change, time, space. So out of that stillness came light. And that light, all light forms this wave, this sine wave. There's a reason words are the way they are. There's meaning behind words, and words can open up a lot of truths to us if we just pay attention to them. This is why when you are humble, you're brought down to earth. And that's why humility keeps us away from deviating. Because a deviant is somebody that deviates away from peace. So if your body deviates from peace, you go into stress. You can have too much stimulation or not enough stimulation. And because of that, you're out of balance. It's all about balance. That's what life teaches us. And that's what our bodies teach us too. So check it out. There is a threefold nature to us, just like this trilogy up here is repeated throughout so many different things. It's because it's representative of the trilogy within us. And if you study DBT, or dialectical behavior therapy in psychology, you will see that there is a skill called wise mind. And wise mind pays tribute to the threefold nature of us. And it does so in a way that doesn't say spirit, it says wisdom, and wise mind is right here. But what is wisdom? Where does wisdom come from? So wisdom, to attain wisdom, is when you are enlightened. You gain light. You gain light. Light is consciousness. Light is awareness. It's what we use to learn things, so therefore it is the source of learning. So when you access spirit, you are accessing that frequency to be able to receive, and that's why you quiet the mind, to access spirit. Because then you stop listening to the chatter of the mind, all the positives and negatives, ups and downs, solving a problem, because that's what the mind is always trying to do. The mind is always trying to solve things, because that's what it's there for. It's a product of duality, because I have consciousness, and then I have subconsciousness. I have good, and then I have bad, because life and death. There are things that promote life, things that promote death. So rejection is one of those things. And because of rejection, now I've created pride versus shame, ego versus shadow. Now I have a superego, now I have an id, and all this duality. Now I create personas to match whatever is agreeable, and now I create shadows to match whatever is shameful, and now I create this duality within myself. And this can be seen in the hero's journey, because there's the conscious part of us, which is the known, and we have to be willing to do the work and go within and do shadow work, or going into the subconscious. So from the mind, you can have duality. From the body, you can have duality. But from spirit, there is no duality. It is unchanging. It is truth. Because that's what wisdom is. It means I'm accessing truth. So, when we are able to mindfully become aware of how we feel and the logic and the truth behind something, that's how we access wisdom. That's how we become enlightened. And there's a way to not get caught up in the mind and not be a victim to the body. Because it should be the spirit that rules. It should be my conscious awareness that rules me. My mind should be a servant to that. And my body is my temple. And the servant is who cleans the temple. So check it out. Healthy mind, healthy body. Homeostasis is what gives us health. When we are balanced. Humility is what gives us health when we are unbalanced. So, if I have too much pride, I become egocentric, and my ego or myself becomes the center of everything. These play off one another, because truthfully, pride arises out of a compensation for one's own low self-esteem or shame. So I'm stuck in duality if I'm shameful, or I think I'm too low and I don't deserve to live, and all this other like very low, non-humble thinking versus very egocentric, prideful thinking. So humility is how I get to atonement. At one mind. Ment means mental. This is why they call it holy, to be whole. And that's where we get that symbol.